CBS News political contributor and chief national correspondent for the New York Times Magazine, Mark Leibovich. Also, there we have Kevin Sheridan, our CBS and political contributor and Republican strategist. And here with me on set in New York is CBSN political contributor and Democratic strategist, Lis Smith. All right, here we go, everyone. Kevin, let me start with you. Two CBS News battleground tracker polls out this morning have Donald Trump up by 1 in Ohio and a tie in Florida. We know these are critical states. Just how critical are they for Donald Trump?
Well, Donald Trump needs the big three of Ohio, Florida, and North Carolina if he's going to have any path to 270 at all. So she's got a major map advantage to begin with because she's got more routes to 270 than he does. So he better hope that he gets both of those on Tuesday night, and then he finds some deep blue state, possibly in the Midwest, in the old Rust Belt. Michigan is looking like the place that they're focused most on now. He's got two things that are running in his advantage right now. He's got the momentum, and he's got the better message. He's got the change message right now, but she's got the map, and she's got the machine. She's got a better ground game from everything we can tell, and so it's going to come down to those two things. Do enough people come out for Donald Trump organically versus her machine?
All right, we're going to talk about Michigan in a moment because Lis Smith is chomping at the bit to weigh in on that one, right?
Okay, Kevin just threw out a lot of M's there. The one M he did not throw out was math, and that is what Hillary Clinton has on her side, and that is ultimately what matters on Tuesday. And if you look at Ohio, if you look at Florida, we see very promising signs in terms of the early voting numbers. And I know your poll showed Trump up 1 in Ohio. But the Columbus Dispatch poll, which came out today, showed Clinton up 1. And traditionally, that's been one of the most reliable polls. So, look, Ohio was very close for President Obama in 2012, as was Florida, as was North Carolina. Those are the three closest states. And this year, I think that they will all be in Hillary Clinton's column.
What about the fact that we've got President Obama heading to Michigan on Monday? I mean, what is that a sign of, you think?
It's a sign of taking nothing for granted. And look, Michigan is a state that snuck up on Hillary Clinton in the primaries. No one expected her to lose that to Bernie Sanders. They don't want a repeat of that in the general election, and so they're leaving nothing on the field here. But their organizational advantage in Michigan is huge. The one thing that they don't have in Michigan is early voting. You know, you can do absentee, so they can't rack up the early votes like they have in Ohio and in Florida. So they need to generate all the excitement that they can right now so that people turn out on Election Day.
Yeah, Mark, let me ask you, both candidates obviously have jam-packed schedules getting close to the election here. Tell us what the objective is for each candidate.
Well, I think people might be looking a tiny bit too much into places like Michigan and Minnesota. I think, like as Liz alluded to, states that don't have early voting, I mean, namely Michigan, are states that you can control mostly in the days running up to Election Day. You cannot actually get people to start voting a couple of weeks before, as you could in places like Nevada, Florida, North Carolina, states like that. So I think part of this is, certainly some tightening in places like Michigan. We haven't really seen any in Minnesota, but certainly Michigan, and the fact that Donald Trump just needs to flip a couple of these states in order to win. I mean, not only does he have to win Florida, Ohio, and North Carolina, but he needs to grab a Pennsylvania, a Michigan, maybe a Wisconsin or Minnesota if he's going to be in the ballgame at all. So I think part of it is controlling what you can control. The other thing is just playing defense where you need to play defense and offense where you need to play offense.
RNC Chairman Reince Priebus spoke about the races in Michigan and Pennsylvania this morning on Face the Nation. Let's listen to a little bit of that, and then I want to talk about it on the other side.
I think we're winning, and I also think that if you would have said 2 months ago, and I think most people, if they're being honest, that we'd be here today arguing over Michigan and Pennsylvania, I think people would have been shocked. And here we are, and it is a tight race, and we're going to do everything we can.
All right, so Liz, what do you think about that?
I think that I heard Reince Priebus say the same thing in 2012 about Michigan, not about Michigan, about Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. And it's the same game they play every year. And look, he needs to project a message of optimism, but those states are going to be realistically very, very tough because Trump is just getting killed demographically. And look at Pennsylvania, for instance. Pennsylvania is a state where you win in the suburbs, especially of Philadelphia, and Trump has no path to victory if that's how you win there, especially with the college-educated white women. Demographically, he's just getting killed there. So it's Reince's job, it's Chairman Priebus's job to project some optimism, but this optimism seems to skew a little bit more towards delusion.
Yet you have the Clintons campaigning with the Obamas in Philadelphia Monday night. Someone called it the shock and awe campaign. I mean, that's quite the closer there.
Right. Well, because again, they gotta juice up turnout, and that's another place where you don't see early voting. They have to juice up turnout there, and again, taking nothing for granted. So why don't you put all your best players on the field? And that's what the Clinton campaign is doing. The Trump campaign doesn't have the luxury of doing it because they don't have any good players. So, Christie's out, just got injured. So who else are they going to put in now?
Chris Christie, who, by the way, Charlie Rose is interviewing today. You can be able to watch that on CBS this morning.
Good plug. Very good
Kevin,
plug.
There is data showing this surge in Hispanic voters, particularly in states like Nevada. How concerning should that be for the Trump campaign?
Yeah, Nevada looks like, if you believe the reports out of Nevada today that from John Ralston that Nevada has lost, that the margins are simply too big in the early voting, and that the Latino turnout has been just skyrocketing since 2012. So there just may be no chance for Nevada at this point. So yeah, it's very concerning. He's going to have to offset that with a depressed African-American turnout, which obviously came out in historic numbers for Barack Obama in 2012 and appeared not to be coming out in the same numbers in 2016. And you've got Obama on the road now trying to duplicate that magic, but it's simply not there. It's not the same thing to be a historic candidate and in Barack Obama as it is with Hillary Clinton. And there's just not a lot of enthusiasm for her in general. She's run she's run a campaign that's just focused on being not Donald Trump, and it really hasn't given much of a look into what the next 4 years is going to look like beyond, look, we're going to have more of this scandal, we're going to have more of the same. She's very much going against the tide of what people want, but it may be enough just to barely get elected because she is running against Donald Trump, a very unpopular candidate.
Taking a step back for a moment, Mark, while in Nevada, Donald Trump once again repeated the idea that the election system is rigged. What do you think the long-term implications of this continued theme are going to be?
Well, look, I mean, he said the same thing in the run-up to the Republican convention when it looked like Ted Cruz was going to make a late play for, and John Kasich possibly for the nomination. There is a bit of a pattern here. It's not clear to me that this is going to help his turnout effort in any way. You could argue it could do the opposite. But look, I don't think Donald Trump is going away. I think, he's going to, whether he wins or loses, well, certainly if he wins, but if he loses, I think he's going to be probably as closely watched a political figure as there is in the country probably for a long time, and that would include possibly him running for president again if he loses this time, which not a lot of people have talked about, but I know it's at least been whispered within Trump Tower. So, look, we'll see. I think that there's been a lot of muddying of the water. I think this election is one big, has been one big cesspool that there's going to be a lot of cleanup effort afterwards. I guess we're sort of mixing aquatic metaphors here, but either way, there's going to be a big hangover, a lot of fallout, and a lot of digesting of all this. For a long, long time.
I think you're right. All right, Mark Leibovich, Kevin Sheridan, and Lis Smith, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.